Yeah, we could have been farther, right? But you know, we thought we knew what we were doing.
Yeah, it's fine. Start.
Hello and welcome back to Tinker Talks Guns. Today we're going to talk about the H&R Model 999 Sportsman, a 9-shot top break 22 caliber pistol. Before we get into that, I'd like to shout out to my Patreon supporters. Thank you very much. Your contributions help. All of this costs money. Also, thank you to the channel benefactors who have been very generous with contributions of ammunition and allowing me to review and talk about their guns. So, Harrington and Richardson started making firearms in the 1870s, and they made a large variety of top break and solid frame pistols, as well as single shot, single barrel top break hammer fired rifles and shotguns. And they were always aimed at a very economical market. Their guns were low priced and not always of high quality, although they were inexpensive and overall enjoyed a good reputation. In 1932, they introduced the Sportsman, the Model 999, and while the gun evolved to a certain extent over the period of production, it remained in production and remained popular. And it's a robust double action, single action, top break 22 revolver with 9 shots. What's not to like? The double action trigger pull is quite heavy, but overall they were produced until the demise of the original H&R in 1986, and then revived briefly from 1991 to 1999 by H&R Incorporated, also known as H&R 1871. Later guns had different features, a full grip frame, and some other things that we'll address in the tabletop. And let's get to that. This gun came to me in the original cardboard box, which includes the gun, the original paperwork, owner's manual, and that's it. Original early guns were provided with a wooden cleaning rod, but by the time this gun was produced, they had ceased that practice. This is distinct from earlier guns in that the rib is vented. They always had the heavy vented barrel or heavy ribbed barrel, but the vents were a later addition. It also has a different shaped grip frame, which is full profile. Original guns had more of almost like a bird's head, but more round, and the wooden grip extended to cover the back strap of the grip frame. The trigger guard is nice steel. It has the addition of this, which a lot of the early H&R revolvers don't, which makes the grip much more pleasant. The mechanism of these is interesting because the trigger is used for double action. The actual trigger for single action is this little nub right here. That's actually the release when you fire the gun in single action. So the trigger presses the trigger. Speaking of the trigger, the double action is reasonably smooth, but it's about 13 pounds. It's very heavy. Single action is quite nice, about 3 pounds, nice and crisp. The sights are fully adjustable by virtue of these 2 screws. You back out one screw and tighten up the other, and you can adjust for windage. The front sight is hinged under quite stout spring pressure, and you can see this sloped surface at the front. There's a screw here that bears on that sloped surface, and running the screw in or backing it out will adjust your elevation. Barrel is nicely crowned. And these are a solid frame revolver, like all of the later production H&Rs. And which makes them rather a pain in the butt to work on. But it is what it is. Has a nice long sight radius and gives a good sight picture with a nice sharp, well-defined and adequately sized notch in the rear sight, and good quality Partridge style front sight. And it's just a nice, serviceable, solid revolver, and for most of their production they were quite economically priced. The grips of this particular one are extremely chunky. I have a large hand and I find it large. And I find it also forces you into a very high grip, which is good for double action shooting and kind of irrelevant for single action shooting. And honestly, with that trigger pull, I more or less treat these as a single action revolver. But simple, robust, affordable at the time. These are just a very good quality revolver, and they were quite popular. The first gun I purchased when I got out of the military and came home was a Model 999 Sportsman, and it was one of the older ones with a solid vent rib and was quite well worn, but it had the signal virtue that I could afford to shoot it, and it accounted for many a pest under many a circumstance, and a heck of a lot of target shooting. And I just really liked it, but in the course of years and time, I parted with it. And by the time I really missed it and decided I wanted another one, prices had gone far above what I was willing to pay for one. So that's as may be. I do really enjoy this gun, and you know, I'm going to shoot it a lot. Anyway, current values on these are a bit all over the place, but typically decent examples are selling for between $500 and $1,000. And I have to say, aside from collector value and sentimental value, that's a lot for what you're getting. But a gun's worth what someone will pay for it, and people will pay those prices. Had I not had higher priorities, I might have been tempted to pay $500 for one. Fortunately, this one showed up, and a buddy of mine thought of me, and we were able to come to an accommodation. So I'm delighted to have it. And as I said, I'll be shooting it a lot. Anyway, if you liked the video, and if you're still watching, I suspect you did, please hit like, and if you want to see more like this, subscribe. It really helps the channel. So, I hope this finds you well. Stay safe, take care, and we'll talk to you again real soon.